G'day and happy holidays, you beautiful people. Welcome to All Reason No Logic, and today we are treated to an extremely high level match thanks to a replay submission on our Discord replayers channel. Link in the description below if you want to get involved. Name shout out at the end of the video. This is a higher OS 5 vs 5 on an 8 vs 8 map. It's Salt Reef, a 20 by 6 alien landscape with wind ranging from 4 to 14 and tidal to 15. Let's have a look at our team leaders. So we got Austinism coming in at an outstanding 59 skill rating. Ostism, dropping in as an Armada commander with a Viking helmet and Santa's goodie bag on his back. I believe this player's previous name was Austin. That's why I'm getting a little bit tongue twisted on this player. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I've seen this player in game before, I believe. I never play at this level, obviously not at this sort of OS skill rating. On the other side of the map, we have got Raigeki dropping in as a Cortex commander, also going into box. Some pretty Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer dress-ups going on there. Commander who also weighs in at a massive 50 skill level. Speaking of pretty things, I've posted a photo of a Secret Santa present that I was given with a figurine 3D printed Cortex commander similar to what you would see from, say, your Warhammer 40k kits. It's just awesome. I was also gifted a mic stand, so let me know if there's any audio troubles with this new mic setup. Enough rambling from me, let's get to the game. And joining me on the mic we have Pradeth, who happened to be the individual to be my Secret Santa this Christmas. Loving the new desk setup, mate.
I can't leave you hanging. So, as Twig mentioned, you're joining us on Salt Reef, a map where the middle corridor is such a critical and pivotal point for control. Whoever gets that gets the extra metal and also the quick lane to reinforce both sides. Running down the sides of the map right now, we do have the first units. Some ticks coming out from Ostism, as well as some coming out from the pink player on their team. Gonna clash right up with the blue players' units. Some rovers coming out to fight them with grunts should be able to clean each other up, and we're seeing a very unit-heavy defense and offense from these guys. Considering this is a very high OS, should be a lot of action to jump between all of these players for.
I can't ever keep up with how many units these players micro. It's crazy the APM that we see out of these players, even so early in the match. Actually checked that already. Seeing some 20s and 30s when you're just doing not much at the start. Just building that first eco. And then the APM really ramps up at this stage of the game.
One of the critical things that's going to happen in the next couple of minutes is one side hopefully will punch through the other's defenses and actually make it in for some eco damage. That is what all this aggression is about. Some of it is to stop your opponent from getting into your base by keeping them in theirs, and the other half is to get yours in. We have a look right now at the bottom of the screen. We do have some ticks that have just cleaned up a mech that was in progress, and they're charging on through to the middle of the map. Because the middle was reasonably safe, there's not so many units, so it's just a chasing game from these players, and it looks like they're going to be able to clean up a constructor, which is a pretty huge, especially considering it's a vehicles constructor.
Nicely played. Might see a couple more mixers go down there as well. Yes, we will. Oh, maybe not. The Grunt's doing a real good job against those ticks. The perfect counter with that laser beam that manages to hit them without missing most shots.
While that's going on, the green player at the very bottom of the map is running the units through. An interesting thing about that was it was actually pinged by the orange player, not by the pink player. Great map awareness coming from the backline players. It's something which you pick up as you get better and better at the game, and it's a way that you can assist your team even if you are that backline player. The ticks going through the pink base haven't gotten a lot done, but they have managed to pass on through. While that was going on, we had a comm self-detonate. One of the things that he did was he set himself up to detonate just outside of the construction turrets so that he doesn't get automatically reclaimed, though depending on whether or not he's going to leave the corpse will depend on whether or not that was necessary, but it did prevent damage.
With such a small amount of commanders, 5 on each side, definitely like to leave 1 or 2% metal in that corpse just so you can res it later. Ooh, those ticks will get cleaned up by these construction turrets. Jumping to the other side, we've also got a T2 lab coming up at the same time with into club. Not detonating the commander though, just relying on the metal being handed from all players. So lots of teamwork, and that is really the difference you see in these higher OS matches where everyone chips in to what's needed.
One of the things that I think contributed to the fact that the blue side didn't detonate one of their comms is because of the extra damage that they did with their run-bys. They took out plenty of mexes and some wind, and so the metal difference might not have been exactly 1200, but I don't think it was too far off of that over time.
Just that extra reclaim helps.
Mm-hmm.
Those Resbots probably the best unit in the entire game. We actually did a video on those. Not specifically those, but one of those tier list videos, and they come up as the best unit in the game in our opinion.
Yeah, if you want to check that one out, you can see why docs are bad.
It doesn't stop.
Never stops. Never stop, never stopping. And a little brief pause in the combat as both sides set up their I guess standoff points, with blue firmly in control of that middle area.
It is important to get these extra 4 mexes, but I do think we see a greedier eco coming out of the blue team. Maybe I'm wrong actually.
You're getting, right now out of the T2 lab from the red team, it looks like constructors are being handed out to everyone. But if you compare that to the green team, they're actually handing out Jaguars. So
I like
those are
that.
going to...
So we're going to see T2 on the front line from all the players at the same time. We've got Jags, we've got a couple of bulls as well by the looks of it. Yeah, bull headed down south, bull headed up north. That's really going to make the difference. You can see Shashgoran pulling back the commander there, but having a bull on the front line, that is going to shut down everything here. And I think autopilot needs to watch out. That bull can take out a commander pretty quick, outranging it quite a bit.
Battle paused.
Bull's great source of damage early on, very tanky. So when the unit count is quite low and you're microing it, you should actually be able to dodge most of the damage. And look at it just run straight into those LLTs. There's no power at the moment, so we're seeing a run by in the top part of the map. Managed to take out those defenses. You can even see that they pinged no E.
Just the awareness in the awareness from these players at the high level, just to know that that's the time to attack when that wind fell down to, I think it was 4 point something, and that's when to pull those incisors.
If you watch what's happening here, Red didn't run his units into this into the blue force. It actually held back until reinforcements arrived, and reinforcements from another player, understanding that in this situation throwing units away is the last thing you want to do. So trying to build up and trying to make sure that units are actually trading efficiently. And now that these units are here, now there's a coordinated attack, they can actually push in and take out a lot of these stronger tanks. It did cost them a couple of extra mexes. It's going to cost them a little bit more at the side, but they're getting efficient trade after efficient trade.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do when there's this much this much tank in your backline.
Jumping down, pyrotech in a little bit of danger here.
Oof.
Rocket bots, or aggravators in this case.
Great dodging, but with this many things around, it's not going to be enough.
Doing the most to sacrifice as many units as possible at this stage. Are they going to get away though? I think Control D might have gone a bit more effectively.
But that's one of the things the blue team took great advantage seeing the cream units up in the top section of the map. They immediately pushed forward in this other area, knowing that the units were off doing other things.
Down in the bottom lane, we've got a pool of ticks, and they've just run straight into Autopilot's commander. So we got a quick surround bonus. We got the bull there. Oh, so close with the D gun, and we're going to see that go pop.
Actually got a interesting video, a short about a gunslinger doing a very similar thing, just staying just outside of the range of the comm.
Really
check that one out if you're keen.
I don't think this ball's going to be so lucky. Nice pull of the D gun there.
Yes.
Oh,
but the reclaim was going to the blue team, but a good D gun out of the pink player to make sure that 1200 metal wasn't donated across.
Yeah. Up north, we're seeing a classic example of defender's bonus. Even though Raigeki and Louis are right on the front line with those T2 units, those lightning tanks doing so much work. Ostism and Pyrotech both doing good to get those last minute units out. Getting those res bots out, reclaiming units where they can, and reclaiming metal where they can. And those pawns and grunts really doing work at keeping this army back, and not much eco damage despite being merely half a screen away.
it's very hard fighting right on your front base because any pulling back too far will result in a dead base. But they're doing a fantastic job of defending this and working together and trying to stop those units from really picking them apart.
Mm.
But because this is happening, you do see that the green commander is all the way on the top, grabbing that reclaim, and is about to end up in a duel with the red com.
Some ticks pulled down south, getting a little bit of damage, but getting cleaned up nicely. Pro Florio. Don't know if he knows
Just
what's happening with the com there.
This is a moment where the micro was lost, but getting some defensive LLTs up, he can see the other com and knows that he won't be sending units there anytime soon, considering that, in fact, he doesn't really have any units. He's currently going through and T2ing all of his mexes, so that's where his spending is right now.
Pro X Factor Live actually, while all the action was going on, got up a fusion so quickly. All of the teammates sending through metal just to get that up and making that the key focus to get their economy back on track, because the Blues definitely in a better shape right now with all the panic going on, getting those units out rather than eco. You can just see the wind farm sizes in the back line of the blue team, in yellow's team, the energy not too far behind just because that fusion's up. And then we've also got one up for the blue team into club space.
Something which I think defines this this tier of play versus the others is that even though there's 5 individual players, they're playing as a team, not as 5 individuals, and that's absolutely huge. The sharing of eco to get a fusion up, the moving of units to help each other to get better fights. That's the sort of thing that's each one of those is gonna give you that little bit of an advantage as a team as a whole, to push on through and push up your OS. Air scouts heading across, just trying to get a little bit of information. And these, but yeah, as you were saying, these bulls up the front causing havoc, huge health pool, decent range, good firepower, and not enough quite here for Raigeki to clean up. But if we quickly jump back and see his base, look at the eco investment these players have managed, even while microing on the front. And one thing to notice is the way that these wind farms are all set up, they're not going to chain react. So even if something does come on through, it's going to be a hard time clearing out all of that wind.
That's important with bases like this, maps like this, where there's plenty of space, just to spread those all out. And you can see he's got 6 construction bots simultaneously building these wind farms.
But also the construction towers, they're spread out in individuals, not in blocks. Just absolutely getting that eco up.
Pro Florio going down to some rocket bots and some grunts. Nicely played.
Very good. That com has been out of position for a very long time.
These 4 balls doing work and almost resetting that top lane back to the standard face-off positions in the middle of the map.
Though you'll notice part of the reason that's happened is because it's been allowed to happen. The focus has been on eco in the backline, knowing that it's going to take a while for these units to push on through. And it's just been getting countered or at least slowed down with grunts. So it's actually, I think it's a tactical play by the blue team, allowing them to reclaim space they can't do a lot with in order to let them move on to that next stage of the game.
These Jaguars really doing work now down south, so they slightly outmaneuver the bots with a speed of 90 compared to 87 for the grunts and the pawns. Oh, sorry, the grunts are probably a little bit slower, are they? 81 for the grunts. Pawns are 87.
They've also got that AA, which makes them great for this kind of attack because they can't be cleaned up by the what are the stunning?
Shuriken.
Yeah, shurikens. And now it's just a chase game because, again, once you bypass these front lanes, this middle section is reasonably undefended because it sort of has to be, otherwise you'd be leaving units there for no point most of the time.
I don't know if these are going to get much value there anymore. I don't think they can, just hitting the shortcut. Yeah, they can't get up this cliff here. So just back and forth, trapped in there by these units, and the balls coming down the rear. Looking up north though, we've got plenty of units pushing the blue player Raigeki all the way back towards the base. Not too sure why Pyrotech's army is coming back though. Oh, that's because Louis B has a huge army of grunts.
This push has only been going on. This push has been going on for more than 3 minutes at this point. And what has Raigeki lost? A forward lab, a couple of mexes, and a couple of LLTs, and some grunts. That doesn't even matter compared to the eco he's put up behind it. So he's sacrificed space in order to gain time to get these bulls coming in to clear them up, and then he's taken out the army almost effortlessly.
You can see there's Resbots coming behind, healing everything up, making sure that they're lasting as long as possible and evening up this battle, because right now 2 versus 3 is not looking great for Pyrotech.
Does look like those ticks are going to help get the surround bonus, and Raigeki pulls his units out so that those bulls can't get those devastating shots on with the bonus damage.
Well, these grunts coming through on the south now, we're going to get any damage out of these. The lightning
Looks
turret
like
probably taking about
looks like
30%
they're
of this army.
Looks like they're taking a lot of damage from that lightning turret, and they're also heading into an area that's recently been cleared. They're spreading out now, but I don't think that attack is going to get much done. Pink well and truly prepared for this run by, and nothing there for them to destroy.
Metal donation going on there. Army of construction turrets following a T2 constructor on the north. What is that up to?
He's gone in there to build some pop-ups.
Perfect for the balls aggression. Looking back in the back line, we see a T3 lab coming up for Inter Club right now with 6,000 metal in the bank. Oh, not a bad decision.
I like seeing that. Just a quick note on that frontline position. I think one of the reasons he might be getting a pop-up is because this area has been under threat. They might actually be looking to get a some sort of longer range defense, because combining that with the T1 that's being used to defend it, this area should then get completely shut down, and they've had a lot of success pushing in on the other end of the map, so they might be looking at transitioning the top side into defense versus the bottom side, which is going to be their offensive point. But considering that they're getting Marauders out, I think that their strategy now is just to hold and push through the rivers, because Marauders are amphibious.
And yellow player's got the 4 fusions going into an APHIS right now, and this is the trade-off. Green's decided to go off of 3 fusions into that Tech 3 lab.
9,500 metal is a huge investment, and it will pay itself back reasonably quickly. But if the green units, if these Marauders get in there and do enough damage early on, they should be able to well and truly offset any gains made by that APHIS.
Absolute ton of pawns and a few balls down south here, and they're up against ticks and not a lot of defense. The sharpshooter is not the best unit. We're going to see a comm go down.
I think we are. That comm needs to try and get into the best position to take out as many of them as possible.
Lab's also going down now, and there it goes.
And that's a T2 lab as well, so that's not like the other side where it was a cheap T1 lab going through. It's still a very costly investment, and a big chunk of whether this is going to be good or not is going to come down to the reclaim.
Very nice pull by Omafod. And you did see the Marauders off screen there come down to assist, but the green player not wanting to expose them, once realizing, okay, the damage has been done, they're not pushing any further, and we've got enough units cleaned up, deciding to take those Marauders back through the middle. So quite a good decision there not to expose that T3 element of surprise.
Just before we follow those Marauders into the base, I just want to point out that a Rattlesnake did come up in that top section of the map, so they did turn this into a heavily defended area. It's only got 5 kills, but I imagine the damage it's done has been very high, and it's going to almost completely blunt this attack that's coming.
The second one coming up too.
Yeah.
While those Marauders coming through, Pink is pushing down through the south.
We will see, but these Marauders are going to be devastating. Very fast units, hard to deal with. They've got AA. And the only thing in their way to stop them is a little bit of air, and they are spreading out a little bit more than I would personally. 2 of these running into those bulls. They have to back off from that, and they're just about to hit. There we go.
So the Shuriken, there's a lot of Shuriken. They should shut down a few here, but I don't think they'll be quite enough with that AA on the top of the Marauder, similar to the Jaguar. It's like a T1 AA, takes down the T1 stuff quite easily. We have
While that's happening, the blue team managed to pump out a Razorback to completely shut down this pawn push. Some eco lost, but not very much. Just a couple of T2
bombing
extractors.
Run coming out of orange. We're going to see a base trade here. The Marauders taking out maybe yellow's base, and the bombing run looks like it's about to hit this big wind farm, but perfectly spread out wind farms, meaning that the damage is going to be mitigated. I want to
just
see
looking over at the Marauders. Looks like they're into the fusion reactors.
Can we get an APHIS pop here?
They got the build power pop, but the perfect counter units have been produced. These Starlights will absolutely pick apart the Marauders as long as they're kept far enough away and spread out wide enough. Combine that with the additional bombing with the EMP bombs, and that is shut down.
Jumping
Big
back to
losses though.
Green's base, similarly, their fusion just down to 10% and nothing completely going down. The most damage being done to Shashkoran's base with just a lot of the energy taken out, but luckily some construction turrets remained.
This is all down to placement of the wind, and while this was going on, a lot of energy and a lot of units were put into defending those marauders. And so on the top side, we've had blue finally going into those T2 tanks and pushing their way in. This is a lot of damage that's now coming in onto the red team. One player's worth of eco taken out in all those fusions, and now another player's worth of build power and eco getting taken out in this cream player. Still managing to hold off somewhat, but this is a lot of damage. The reclaim will help recover though.
So all the metal being reclaimed from these fusions in Yellow's base rather than resurrecting. I wouldn't mind seeing at least one of these resurrected and maybe handed off to another player so that they've got a T2 energy economy. And either that or send some of that metal through to the players with a little bit less to spend. Having said that, no build power over here for our cream coloured player to use that metal.
Just quickly looking at the bars in the bottom right, you can actually see where everybody's set their own sharing points for the for their eco.
Very low.
Very low. I only just noticed that. And I think reclaiming is actually allowing the rest of his team to get back into the map, and you can actually see all of this energy being shared just to try and help people get back online and to try and defend.
Down south here we see Pink pull all the units back to the base until the very last minute before launching them all at once at this Razorback, which goes down to pawns, which is a very nice pull by the pink player. And a couple of balls here as well, going to be enough to keep those marauders at bay.
Certainly pushed the marauders back, but wasn't able to kill them because of the grunts that came in and defended them. Something which, again, if you check out our tier list unit, we rate the grunts very highly, because even at this stage of the game where we have T3 units running about, the grunt is still doing good work.
Just missed. So one marauder getting through, the other one getting degunned, so we might see a little bit of eco damage.
Good call by the marauder, not trying to fight the comm, even though it outranges it and can continuously move away. Because you've got the snipers coming out and the ticks coming out, it would get chased off and wouldn't have been successful. Something that I really like seeing these players do. The units they build seem to be the very perfect counters to what they need. They bring T3 units in, well, it's snipers and it's starlights to defend. They bring
starlights taking forever to turn around to get the kill on this Razorback.
The starlight's unfortunately quite slow, but they are doing the damage. There's not a lot out from the red team that could really take out a Razorback in any quick amount of time, so getting those starlights in is what's needed.
Head back up north where most of the T2 action has been happening. A lot of... Look how close these are to the base, and let's check out how Ostism's going to react to this. And you can see right there a ghost coming out. Probably the only good way to shut down this enemy.
Ooh, great EMP, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. That's only half the tanks, and we still have some banishers in the background. But they are bringing in the smaller units. It looks like these banishers are actually being microed to attack very specific targets. They're not dropping their missiles inside of the EMP'd units.
Great hold here by the red player. I would have fallen in a heartbeat to this many tanks coming into the base.
I would have fallen 10 minutes ago.
Constant EMP bots. You can see one tiger's literally been put onto the base just to stop them being produced.
But that's what you got to do. You gotta make these decisions. And what a
that's just
phenomenal hold out of red. Even though it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Well, it
might be. The balls are coming across. Yes, he lost a few wind on the top there, but he's lost one T1 lab.
Time.
That was against 15 tanks. Including
amazing
banishers.
What the defender's advantage can do for you. You build the right unit in the right moment. And the fact that you can keep pumping out units and having them there faster than your opponent who has to trickle them across the map.
I don't know if you saw what just happened up north there. Raigeki's commander was just trying to capture a T2 fusion reactor, And it was just caught in time by Ostism, who just detonated it, and I did a shitload of damage to Raigeki's commander. So with all these balls coming across here, I don't know if this commander can get out if you're alive, but taking out 4 of those mexes and the fusion reactor, very nice.
It's great seeing the blue player use their comms like this. They've been very, very aggressive with them, and it's because they've been able to, because they have the comm advantage. Doesn't matter if Raigeki loses his comm up here, so long as it dealt well and truly more damage than its resources are for the edge of the map. And there we go, it was taken out by those bulls, but it did draw 5 bulls away from the front lines.
A Razorback in the air player's base, which has just been shot down by those snipers. Perfect counter to the Razorback, those snipers.
And more Marauders now picking apart the cream player, or have picked apart the cream player.
Wouldn't mind seeing Pink put a little bit more aggression back onto the front line there. But most of these units are Resbots, so maybe not quite the...
Yeah, they're ticks. A couple of Res Marauders and a couple of Snipers and Starlights. And what's the defense against? Well, it's he has to fight pawns and ticks, and these high damage single shot units are not going to be ideal against them. But now that the Razorback's up and healed, it does look like he's getting them on the front line.
Another Marauder pool, almost taking the exact same route last time. Let's see if they can do as much damage as they did last time, taking out those 4 fusions.
The difference is there's Snipers and there's Starlights that are picking these off on the way in.
Just in the background there, you can actually see half of these fusion reactors have been shared to the rest of the team.
So they might have been reclaimed, not resurrected, but they certainly were handed out. Look how great they are at this combined defense. The yellow player, the cream player, the pink player, all in there to save Orange's base. This isn't just individuals playing. It's a very strong team.
The team, and teamwork is what really wins these games, especially the slightly higher rated games. You unfortunately don't see that in the low level games, and that's fair enough. Everyone's there to have fun. But if your neighbour is falling, it's your job to assist that neighbour.
Speaking of falling, it looks like Raigeki is getting up above the red base this time, attacking from 2 fronts, supported by spam from Florio.
Zooming
and
out,
that's a
purple
lot of damage.
Louis taken the opportunity to see there is not much anti-air when those Marauders went into each of those bases, so amassing the Hailstorms, the Cortex T2 bomber, and we've got 15 of them out on the field with a mighty air force. I think this could be a good game for the red team, we shall say.
Well, they're getting pressed pretty hard from both sides. While the top is falling to those Marauders, we've got the Starlights that are coming in, and they're actually in such great numbers that they're killing the spam that's coming up against them.
Perfect time for these Marauders to attack up north as well, seeing that there's Starlights down south from our Teal player. Shashgoran's got them assisted by a whole ton of ticks to keep the spam away from them, so yeah. Not pushing too hard, I'd say that, as he's definitely pushing quite hard. Oh, nice. Perfect timing to see a comm go down. And
it's definitely going to be a comm go down. And that was all the snipers too.
Here come these bombers.
Here we go.
Ouch. Just cleaning up the base in a heartbeat. Oh, and just like that. It's known experience tells you why wait for the inevitable to be over. The game's over. Those hailstorms just absolutely
strong teams know what's what, and they knew that they were out of the game this time round.
It was a really good game, very aggressive from both teams. I really think that the big thing that I took out of this was handing out T2 units rather than T2 economy. Obviously, that's not some advice for individuals that don't micro so much, but knowing that these players in this match, with the lowest OS being like 35, everyone knows how to micro, so just getting those balls and lightning tanks out there really made a strong difference and gave that ground advantage, meaning more metal in the bank from the mexes rather than expanding the eco in base like we saw out of the red team. Both very viable tactics, and all players play way better than we ever could. But
you can actually see so much of that reflected in the stats. If you jump into the actual statistics and not just the graphs, you can see the action per minute for these teams are massively in excess to what we normally see, but you can also see what the advantage of controlling that middle lane gave the blue players. that 560,000 or 569,000 metal to the 400,000 of red, they just kept being able to do. They kept being able to take. They kept able to roll their advantage up and up and up and up, and you can see that in the damage efficiency because they were able to win some combats, take more space, reclaim those units, res those units. They could come in with a better force the next time and the next time and the next time, and that's how they've achieved that 102% damage efficiency. And red, because they were on that back foot constantly, because of the potentially because of that eco early instead of the T2 units early, they were just never able to rebuild that overwhelming force and reclaim one side of the map decisively.
Yeah. I reckon this second to last column must be an error saying that all players in the negatives for the aggression level. I saw nothing but action that match. I guarantee we missed about half the action just in this cast.
I think the reason they have low aggression levels is because they all managed to eco so well in the back end, and so their damage done versus eco generated, which I don't actually know if that's how it's created, probably skewed them well into the negatives for aggression.
That damage dealt by Raigeki, you can see. By the way, thanks for the submission, Raigeki. If anyone else wants to submit a replay, jump into the Discord replays channel. But yeah, just that aggression through T2 all the way through the match, just getting them that damage dealt award at the end of the game.
Something which is worth noting is that the total damage dealt was only 50,000 different between the teams. So even with the lower resources and the lower efficiency, the red team still dealt almost as much damage as the blue teams. This really was a tight game. One big mistake could have flipped the entire game around for either side.
And props to players like this that are able to keep like that line right at the background. We saw Ostism's base being almost breached so many times and just keeping the opponent there or there and not getting them into the eco. Just amazing how you can just hold that defender's advantage to your advantage for so long.
Oh, we might leave this one there, but thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for the players for showing off such a good game. And if any of you want to coach me so that I can beat Twig, let me know.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you feel like it. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Catch you next time.